Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing this fabulous morning? Great to see you here. I have my mug of the day, which is my sunshine mug. Yep, there it is. My sunshine mug because today is a special day. Tomorrow is too because this whole weekend is like a trifecta of holidays and special things going on that we're going to talk about this morning. So, grab a mug, pull up a chair, snuggle up if you're just getting out of bed, or maybe you've already been out of bed. You've done some things, and it's closer to like brunch time, or maybe if you're watching across the pond in the UK, it's afternoon tea time. But wherever you are, if you are watching this live, thanks for being here. If you're watching via replay, again, thanks for taking the time. I invite you to spend just a couple of seconds and take a break from whatever it is you're doing and sit down with me while I share some fun things, fun stories that are going on all around us that make this weekend a really special time together. So, good morning, Savannah. How are you doing, my dear? Love you, love you. So, if you are joining me live, please pop it in the comments below. Say hello. Let me know where you're joining from. It's always a pleasure to see you. We've got some fun things coming up this weekend. Gosh, here we are. It is the start to summer. So today is the last day of spring officially, and tomorrow is the summer solstice, right? It is the official technical start of the summer season. I don't know about you, but here in Texas, we're already having summer. Are you having summer where you are? It's hot, the temperatures are rising, right? It's the summer season. And so tomorrow is the official start to the summer solstice. So what exactly does that mean? What does summer solstice really mean? Well, the summer solstice is a time of year. First, let me back up just a second. Because I forgot to introduce myself. If you've never caught me live here on Facebook or on YouTube, thanks for taking a moment. Just wanted to say hi. I want to introduce myself. Let me back up. My name is Rane Harden. I am an editor. I'm a writer. I'm also a writing coach. And this little show that I do is called From the Editor's Desk. It's where I get together with you on the weekends. We catch up from the week that was. We talk about what we're going to plan to do this weekend. And I encourage you to watch the stories that are going on around you. Look at the stories that you're creating and think about ways that you can share those stories with others. So that's my little intro. Should have done that a little earlier. Had to have a sip of coffee. And I've got so much to share with you that I wanted to just dive right on in. But that's the beauty of live videos, that I can back up and go, hey, first of all, let me say hi and introduce myself. But thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. So back to the summer solstice. So tomorrow was officially the first day of the summer season. And so technically what that means, it starts every summer, usually from the days between June 20th, June 21st, or June 22nd, depending, because the sun is not exactly at the same point every year. It sometimes falls in those areas, and it has to do with the sun's orbit and its rotation. So we know that the globe, or the earth, is separated into the northern and the southern hemisphere. And so what we mean by the summer solstice is this is when the sun is at the highest point in the northernmost part of the sky. So astronomically, the way planets and stars line up, this officially marks the beginning of the summer season. And so tomorrow at 10:32 p.m. Central Time, 11:32 p.m. Eastern Time, is when the summer solstice happens. And it marks the official beginning of summer in the northern hemisphere, when the Earth arrives at the point in its orbit where the North Pole, as it is maximum tilt, okay? The maximum tilt. It's about 23.5 degrees towards the sun, which results in the longest day. So we have the most sunlight. So tomorrow will be, if you want to get out in the sun by the pool or hang out at the beach, or if you want to be out in the sun tomorrow is the day for the most hours of daylight and the shortest amount of night. Tomorrow's it. That's it. Okay. And then what happens is we start going back the other way. Slowly, incrementally, the earth goes back. So next year it'll happen on the 21st. In 2023, it'll happen on the 21st. And in 2024, it'll happen on the 20th. So it varies depending on the way the earth moves and its tilt. So that's the summer solstice. It comes from the Latin sol or solstitium, from sol, meaning sun, and sister or stitium, which means to be still or to be stopped. So solstice, interesting way that words have roots. And if we look at the Latin and the Greek roots of words, because our language is a mixture of all kinds of languages, Germanic, Latin. And so we have to look at the roots of these words to really understand what they mean. So, due to the Earth's tilted axis, the sun does not rise and set at the same locations on the horizon each morning. And it rises and sets in positions which move northward or southward in the sky as the Earth travels around the sun throughout the year. Also, the sun's track in the sky becomes higher or lower depending on the time of year. The June solstice is significant because the sun reaches its northernmost point in the sky, at which point the sun's path does not change for just a brief period of time. So the sun's path does not change. Isn't that amazing? It comes to that point. And so that's when we know that it's the summer solstice. And astronomers who have studied the positions of the planets and the stars and watched how the Earth moves around the sun and its angles and its tilt, they're able to mark those times. And it is amazing that the Earth does this every year. It's not quite the exact same day every year, but it falls into a range and it's at this time that the sun's track does not change. Now, after the solstice, the sun will appear to reverse its course and head in the opposite direction. So the motion referred to here is the apparent path of the sun when one views its position in the sky at the same time each day. For example, if you go outside and you look at where the sun is at, say, 12 o'clock, is it dead straight ahead, up above, or is it kind of at an angle? We were in Vail last weekend, and I can tell you that when you're up in the mountains like that, you know, you're up at a higher, say 8,000 to 10,000 feet up in the air on a mountain. And Vail is in a part of Colorado, you know, they're on mountain time, so they have their own time zone. But I will tell you that the sun rose every morning about 5:30-ish and didn't go down till about 8:40. I mean, so we had lots of daylight. And in Vail, where people are more prone to do outdoor activities such as hiking and kayaking and all those kinds of things, they need more daylight because I will tell you in Vail, things close up at 10 o'clock. Everybody goes to bed. They usually have dinner about 6 o'clock. They're done because they know that that sun's going to rise at 5:30 in the morning and they're going to get up and get out and do some great things. I got up this morning and got out, did a 2-mile walk in my neighborhood before coming back to get ready for the show this morning. It felt great. So wherever you are, if you get out and you look and you see where the sun's position is, and you know tomorrow is going to be the day with lots of sun, but you also have to be careful how long you're in the sun. Too much sun is not good, and especially with really high temperatures, it can be hard. So the summer solstice. So of course the sun itself is not moving, but this change in position in the sky that we on Earth notice is caused by the tilt of the Earth's axis as it's orbiting the sun, as well as the Earth's elliptical, or rather circular, orbit. So does it always stay the same? No, as I mentioned, there's a shift between about 3 days that the summer solstice happens. It is the longest period with sunlight. And because the sun is highest in the sky on this day, you'll notice that your shadow is the shortest that it will be. So if you get outside, go check it out tomorrow, stand, look at the sun overhead, right? Say at noon. And they use, let's see, it says local noon is when the sun crosses the local meridian and is the highest point of the day. So go out tomorrow, look at the sun where it is at noon, and notice that your shadow is going to be the smallest that it will be all year long. Now, for those who live in the southern hemisphere, I have a friend, dear friend, Amanda Workman. She is in Botswana, Africa. And this is marking the beginning of winter where they are. They just finished summer. And so she's in the southern hemisphere. So this is going to be the shortest day of the year and marks the arrival of winter. And so when we have our winter solstice, it's going to be opposite for us, and the folks in Botswana will have their summer solstice, just like we just had. So the summer solstice, check that out. Look it up if you have little ones and you are studying science. Review some of this with them. Teach them about the equinoxes and the solstice, the times when the seasons change. We have the summer and winter solstice, and we have the vernal equinox, which is spring, and the autumnal equinox, which is fall. So learn about that. And you can do that while you're out at the pool, teaching them about how much daylight there is and that it's the beginning of summer. And when the sun is overhead, you can do all of this while you're playing in the pool and teach them some fun things. So, summer solstice, that's part of what's going on. Now, today is a special day, and you guys have probably seen a lot of talk about this on the news and different things, but this was really, really important. You love long sunny days? Oh, I do too, Sherry. I do too. Yes, Savannah, you do as well. I do too. I've been getting up and walking since we got back from Vail, and we did all of this walking. I noticed that my legs and my hips were not sore and aching, and I thought, wow, it's probably because I'm not exercising enough. I'm exercising. I'm doing yoga, but really, really never thought about the importance of daily walking. I've heard people talk about it. I've had different people suggest to me, try to get 2 to 3 miles in each day. And, and I think, oh, 2 to 3 miles, really? And yet when I watched my step tracker on my Apple Watch, and it tells me how many steps I'm taking every day, Michael and I did a lot of walking while we were in Vail, and I noticed, man, we were up 10,000 to 13,000 steps a day. And it really didn't seem like that much once we did it. So since we've been back, I've made it a point to get up early in the morning here in Dallas because it's hot here in Texas. We don't want to be doing this trying in the middle of the day when the sun is overhead at its highest point and it's bearing down on me. So what I've been doing is getting up and getting out the door, usually about 6:15, 6:30-ish. And I head out because that's when it's in the 70s here in Dallas. And I'm getting out and I'm walking 2 miles. I've got a route that I'm mapped out in our neighborhood. And I know that if I go to that point and back, it's 2 miles. And so I've been doing that every morning since we got back. And I got to tell you, I can get up the stairs now easily. I feel great. It's been helping me really get, physically in shape. And if I do this every day, so I'm going to try to consistently stay on top of this and get out every day and walk, do some outside exercising. So hopefully you're doing some of that in whatever way you can. If you have a local gym you like to go to, there's some great YouTube exercise people who are out there that you can just log in and check out their videos and do some exercise at home. Get together with family and friends. But I highly recommend that you get out first thing in the morning when the sun's coming up. You can even make you a cup of coffee and take it with you. Get out and do some walking. Yes, when you get a regular walk in, it feels so much better. Well, Sherry, I just kind of fell into it when we were on vacation. And so I thought, why don't I just continue doing this and make it a goal to because I want to keep myself healthy. And for those of you that have been following me for a while now, you know that I recovered last year from breast cancer treatment. So I'm trying to do everything that I can to stay healthy, especially when the weather turns nice, right? Because it's hard for me to get motivated during the winter. So if I can start this now, by the time winter comes, I'll already be in a good rhythm to keep it up at the gym where it's not freezing. All right. So today is a special day as well. Like I said, we have a trifecta of holiday speciality this weekend. It all falls into this weekend. So there's something that you can celebrate, right? So the summer solstice, you can celebrate that. Also, today is important historically because this is June 19th. And on this day, something really important happened. And President Biden just recently signed into law and made June 19th an official federal holiday. So, but let me share a little bit about Juneteenth because this is a very important day to our brothers and sisters who are people of color, who are African American people, because this was a very important day in the state of Texas. Now, this has been a Texas thing for a long time. Michael and I were talking about this the other day. It would be like if we made Kamehameha Day a federal holiday. So that would be, so it's a holiday primarily that has been celebrated in the state of Texas and is known to Texans because that's where it has its roots, originally from Galveston, Texas. So it's been celebrated annually since about 1866 in different parts of the United States. So the reason why this day is important is because back when President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1862, this officially outlawed slavery in not only Texas, but all of the states that were part of the Confederacy. And so, back at that time, they didn't have social media where they could share the post. Hey, folks, President Lincoln just signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Slavery is now outlawed in all of the United States. Tag a friend, right? They didn't have that. So that the way that the news moved was at the behest of the advancement of the Union troops throughout the territories. Well, that took about 2.5 to 3 years to make that happen. And so enforcement of that proclamation depended more on the troops as they were moving into the states and, taking possession of the states and, making their presence known so they could let slave owners know this is no longer legal. You can no longer own other human beings. Well, Texas was the most remote and westward state of the slave states. It had seen an expansion of slavery but had a low presence of Union troops. So enforcement there had been slow and inconsistent. But on June 19th, 1865, the Union Army General Gordon Granger announced General Order Number 3, proclaiming freedom for the enslaved people of Texas. Now, even though it was proclaimed that slavery ended in the Confederate States, slavery was still legal and practiced in 2 Union border states, Delaware and Kentucky, until December 6, 1865, when the 13th Amendment was ratified, abolishing chattel slavery. Now think about that. That we had to enact legislation to let people know that it was illegal to own other human beings as slaves. So the Indian territories that had sided with the Confederacy, namely the Choctaw Nation, they were the last to release their slaves in 1866. So 4 years, it took 4 years for the news to get to Texas and have Texas finally do something about it. So June 19th, 1865 is an important day because this outlawed slavery in the state of Texas. Now, I don't know about you. I've lived here for a long time in my life. Texas is a very large state, very remote territory at the time. So it took time for the news to get as far as Texas. So this has been a big thing, and it's been celebrated here since 1866. And other states have picked up on it and made their own sort of Juneteenth celebration to celebrate the abolishment of slavery. Now, that really happened again with President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, but making it an actual holiday has been a process. So this week, President Biden actually signed into law on June 17th, President Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. We don't want to get this confused with our Independence Day from England that we celebrate on July 4th. But this, to the African American people, to the people who had been enslaved for so long, this was their Independence Day. This was a day allowing them freedom for the first time. So I have a book, as I always do. I try to make recommendations to you for things that you can read to help you learn a little bit more about things like this, like Juneteenth. So I have a book recommendation for you. I'm going to get the cover right up here on the screen really quickly. Let's see, there it is. And I always try to share these because it's very important that we know our history. We know that there's a lot going on right now with how history is shared. What do we share? Do we talk to our children about it, the period in time in American history where slavery did exist in our nation and the process that it took to do away with that in our nation so that we do not think that it's okay to own other human beings as slaves? That's an important thing. So, as always, I try to share some books with you from people who I think are credible in their background. So, this book is called On Juneteenth by Annette Gordon Reed. She is a Harvard professor of history, and she's also a professor of law. So, but she's also a Texas native. So this weaves the story of the process of Juneteenth, how that came about. It also has a little personal anecdotes from different people. It also gives her perspective from the people of Texas and how that happened. So check this book out. It's called On Juneteenth. She is the winner of the Pulitzer Prize for history. So she is has an extensive background, credible background in history. So weaving together American history, dramatic family chronicle, and searing episodes of memoir, Annette Gordon Reed's On Juneteenth provides a historian's view of the country's long road to Juneteenth, recounting both its origins in Texas and the enormous hardships that African Americans have endured in this century since, from Reconstruction through Jim Crow and beyond. All too aware of the stories of cowboys, ranchers, and oilmen that have long dominated the lore of the Lone Star State, Gordon Reed, herself a Texas native and the descendant of enslaved people brought to Texas as early as the 1820s, forges a new and profoundly truthful narrative of her home state with implications for us all. Reworking the traditional Alamo framework, she powerfully demonstrates, among other things, that the slave and race-based economy not only defined the fractious era of Texas independence, but precipitated the Mexican-American War and indeed the Civil War itself. So, if you want to find out a little bit more about Juneteenth and its roots in history from someone who is not only a Pulitzer Prize winning historian, but she's also a descendant of people who were enslaved in the state of Texas. And so it's best to get the stories from people who lived it and experienced it and who have that as their personal experience. That's a great way to learn all about Juneteenth. So check it out, get a copy of it. It's probably at your local library, or you can always get it wherever you purchase books. So, shocks you how long it took to reach Texas. Well, and you've got to think about, they're on horseback and the pace of how they had to travel, post-war, they'd been in a horrible war. So trying to put the pieces back after that, go into territories where there's contentious feeling about the Union. It's difficult. And again, no social media, no means of advanced telecommunications back then. So it took time for the news to move all across the territories. So amazing, isn't it? So we talked about the summer solstice that happens tomorrow. We talked about Juneteenth, which is today, but tomorrow is also a special day because it's Father's Day. Father's Day falls on the same day as the summer solstice. And I don't know about you, but it's interesting. We have a holiday that's on the heels of Mother's Day that was started by a woman who was actually sitting in the church where she heard the sermon and the woman speaking who started Mother's Day and thought, there needs to be a holiday that celebrates the dads, right? How about that? Isn't that interesting? I want to pull this up because when I was doing some research about it, I thought, interesting. I want to see where Father's Day came from. I had it up, and then I closed the tab. So forgive me as I bring it back up. Again, the joys of live streaming. So anyway, Father's Day. Now, I want to take a moment because I know that there are some out there who maybe didn't have a father, maybe had a difficult relationship with their father, like I did, or perhaps you lost your father. And I just want to give you a special sip and salute this morning and tell you that I understand and I know that just like Mother's Day, sometimes it's hard. There are gentlemen out there who long to be a father and are waiting to be a father and can't. Some who did not have great relationships with their fathers and so are trying to reconcile that and make some sense of that and come to terms with that. But I hope that you've had a father figure in your life, someone that you can look up to that has given you that kind of love and that kind of guidance and support through life. So I want to salute all the fathers that are out there working hard, taking care of their families, doing what they can to be the kinds of dads that they hope that they can be to their children. So Father's Day has been celebrated on March 19th as St. Joseph's Day since the Middle Ages. But in the United States, Father's Day was founded by Sonora Smart Dodd and celebrated on the third Sunday of June for the first time in 1910. The day is held on various dates across the world in different regions who maintain their own traditions of honoring fathers. And all around the world, they have different ways that they celebrate. So here in the United States, it's celebrated on the third Sunday of June. Typically, families get together with their dads. They do special things for their dads, or they give them things, or they help their dads not do anything on Father's Day, kind of like what we did on Mother's Day. So, and I want to find this. Hold on just a second. I'm going to look up. Okay, so Sonora Smart Dodd. So here's a little bit about her. She was the daughter of American Civil War veteran William Jackson Smart and was responsible for founding Father's Day. When Sonora was 16, her mother died in childbirth, having her sixth child. Imagine. So Sonora was the only daughter and shared with her father, William, in raising of her younger brothers, including her new infant brother, Marshall. So imagine. Sonora was 16 years old, the only daughter in six children. She had five younger brothers. And so she helped her father, as a single father, raise these children. So I think she has a keen personal experience of what it was like watching her father work hard to be a single dad in, let's see, uh, in the 1850s, 1860s. Okay. So William Smart was a farmer who served as a sergeant in the United States Army, 1st Arkansas Light Artillery during the Civil War. Um, though a Father's Day service was held on July 5th, 1908 in West Virginia to honor the fathers who were killed in the Monona mine disaster, it was Sonora Smart Dodd who is credited as the founder of the official American national holiday. Smart held her father in great esteem, and while hearing a church sermon about the newly recognized Mother's Day at Central Methodist Episcopal Church, Sonora felt strongly that fatherhood needed recognition as well. She approached the Spokane Ministerial Alliance and suggested that her own father's birthday of June 5th be the day that they honor fathers. But the Alliance chose the third Sunday in June instead. So the first Father's Day was celebrated on June 19th, 1910 in Spokane, Washington. And although observance of the holiday faded in the 1920s, over time, the idea of Father's Day became popular and embraced across the nation. And in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson sent a telegraph to Spokane praising Father's Day services. William Jennings Bryan was another early admirer of this observance. But in 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed a presidential proclamation officially declaring the third Sunday of June as Father's Day. So, in 1972, President Nixon established a permanent national observance of Father's Day to be held on the third Sunday of June each year. Now, so whatever happened to Sonora? Was that it once, Father's Day was established? Well, in 1974, Sonora Dodd was honored at the Expo 74, the World's Fair in Spokane, Washington. She died 4 years later at the age of 96 and was buried in Greenwood Memorial Terrace in Spokane. She lived to be 96 years old. What a wonderful, fulfilling life. And the fact that she goes down in history as remembering and making a holiday because of how much she loved her father and watched him go through being a single dad. Back in a day when single dads, I don't think that was what was talked about around the tables, but single dad with six children. So a sip and salute to Sonora Dodd for officially starting the idea of Father's Day. And I hope that you can celebrate this weekend with either your loved ones or your friends, or maybe you just take time today to think about those father figures in your life, those who've been present, those who've had an impact on your life, those who've loved you from a fatherly way. If you've lost your father, take some time today to remember the good things about those memories, to remember what they meant to you and their impact on your life. You were at Expo 74. That's amazing, Sherry. Well, Sonora Dodd was honored at Expo 74. Kelly, yes, right. And Savannah, you've been to Spokane before. Right. Your oldest son was born on Father's Day. Well, how about that? What a gift, Sherry. That's amazing. Well, look at there. And you were at Expo 74. I love that. I love that. And Kelly, good morning. Good to see you too. Right. Where mom was at the World's Fair. So see, Isn't it amazing the stories that we're even a part of that we're not aware of? That's an amazing story. And that your son was born on Father's Day, Sherry. That's really awesome. Well, guys, that's what I mean about there are great stories, great things that are going on around us that make up our lives that are fabulous. Have you ever thought about sharing those? Sherry just did in the live broadcast, shared the awesome coincidence, I guess you would call it, or the divine timing of God that her oldest son was born on Father's Day and that she was at the World's Fair where Sonora Dodd was honored. So amazing stories that are going on all the time, all around us. You never know how important those might be. Well, I have something else fun that I wanted to share with you because if you want to check this out, it's really, really a great. He also has a book. But if you've not seen the YouTube channel, Dad, How Do I? Dad, How Do I? And I want to share this. This is such a great YouTube channel. So this gentleman started this YouTube channel. Let me put this up on the screen here. Come on and close. There we go. And here we go. All right. It has 3.43 million, so about 350 million subscribers. And how this started is that he lost his own dad. I'm trying to look up here. Let's see. So his name is Rob Kenny, very much a DIYer. And Rob's father, interesting tie-in that this is the same kind of Sonora situation. But when Rob Kenny was 14 years old, his father passed away and left him and his 7 siblings. Right? I mean, imagine. Oof, that's tough. Let's see here. So he grew up without his father. So here's the YouTube channel. So he grew up without his dad, and that was tough. And so he wanted to have a way to answer questions. So, he had to learn all of these things himself. And so he knew that there were people out there who probably didn't have dads. So if you go to this playlist, he's got everything. He's got article, how to make a pizza, how to change a toilet seat. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, he has videos, on money, how to fix your lawnmower. He's been featured on podcasts, how to replace a refrigerator filter, how to plant grass seed. I mean, this is kind of a DIY channel for all kinds of things. If you look up his information, he tries to also pass down dad advice, values for those who feel like they don't have a dad. He likes to share those things in his videos. So he also has a book, and that's what I'm trying to come up to find. Let's see, here it is. I'm going to share it. Gosh, guys, someday I'm gonna have a producer who's going to help me with all of these screens so that I know what I'm doing and I can get this stuff up on screen a little faster for you. Oh, and now it's showing you all my stuff. Okay, so I'm going to hide that because I don't want to show you my rabid way of looking for things. I have my book covers open. Here we go. That's what I want. Is the picture. Oh gosh, it's so fun doing live streaming. All right, so he's written a book called Dad, How Do I? Which is based off of his YouTube channel. And he offers, advice on some things, some practical things that can help you if you're going through life and you have these kind of questions that you always wanted to ask your dad. So his book entitled Dad, How Do I? is a great seller, as well as his popular YouTube channel. So, and I don't know if you noticed when I was sharing earlier on the screen that he had a chat with, I'll share this real quick as well. That if you look on his, let's see, let's do it this way. No, let's do it this way. How about this way? No, I don't like that. We'll do it this way. Um, so his book, Dad, How Do I? But if you notice on his YouTube channel, um, right down here, he had a chat with Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart is doing a movie entitled Fatherhood. I think it comes out on Netflix. But that is a very sweet story because it's also based on a true story and a book. So Rob Kenney has this book. It's Practical Dad Advice for Everyday Tasks and Successful Living. So that's the name of his book. All right. So let's see, we're going to hide that because you don't want to see where all my downloads are. That's not important. But this book is. So you can get a copy of Rob Kenney's book, either in your local bookstore, check it out at the library, or you can get it on Amazon, of course. But the movie Fatherhood, this new movie with Kevin Hart that has come out, and I love Kevin Hart. He's a funny guy. It's just a funny guy. He can even make serious be heartfelt and yet funny. He makes you laugh through your tears. But his new movie out called Fatherhood is actually based on a true story. Let me share this story with you. And so I love this because all of these dads that we're talking about have been through some kind of personal loss of their own. And we tend to think, that everything is always roses. But the movie Fatherhood is based on this book called Two Kisses for Maddie by Matt Logelin, I believe is the way you say his name. But back in, this is like 2010, maybe 2011. Matthew Logelin published this book. And this is the true story of him and his wife when they welcomed their daughter, Maddie. And within 27 hours after her birth, Matt's wife passed away from a pulmonary embolism. She never got to hold the daughter that she gave birth to. And so Matt was left as a single father with a newborn infant. And so he wrote this book. And so this movie that Kevin Hart is in is based on that story. Yeah, right. That's a lot of siblings. Right. So both Sonora Dodd and Rob Kenney came from the background of losing a parent, right? Losing their mom and having to watch their dad go through. So there's a lot of talk out there about single moms, but we don't really hear a lot about the single dads that are out there. The dads who've gone through losing their wives and having to raise their children and start all over again without their partner by their side. So this is the story that is the true story on which this movie is based on. So Kevin Hart has done a lot of press recently with not only Rob Kenney, like I said, on his YouTube channel, but other outlets talking about this movie. So if you get a chance over the weekend and you like Kevin Hart and you like his comedy, watch Fatherhood, because it's a great story about the loss and the struggle, but the resilience of these great dads, because they're out there. They're out there. Dads sometimes get, the short end of the stick. And yes, I get it. There are absent fathers out there. There are non-participatory fathers. I get that. We know that. But they're not all that way. So that's why I like to celebrate these. So this week in books, again, I'm going to go back. Let me open this one. so that you can see all of these together. But like I said, guys, great stories are where a lot of these things come from. And we want to celebrate. Um, oops, I just lost a book cover. Where'd it go? Oh, no, I didn't. So let me get this one on the screen. I'll be able to share all of these together with you. Okay. So I love making these great book recommendations. And again, isn't it interesting to find out that not only do these great holidays find their roots in such great people and their stories, but their stories are then shared. They are sharing their stories, and maybe it'll help encourage you to share yours. So, great books for this week. Again, if you want to learn about Juneteenth, check out Annette Gordon Reed's On Juneteenth, the personal story and perspective of a Texas native about a Texas holiday. And then, if you're celebrating Father's Day or you've got someone that you want to gift a book to, maybe share their story with them. Check out Two Kisses for Maddie or Dad, How Do I? Right? If you know of someone who doesn't really have that father figure in their life, share Rob Kinney's book. Turn them onto his YouTube channel, because that's a way that Rob is sharing his fatherly advice and love with others. And then Matt Logelin is sharing his story of overcoming loss and being resilient, raising his daughter as a single dad. So, guys, great stories that inspire great movies and hopefully will inspire you to tell your story. You've got a story to tell. You've got a story that someone wants to hear. You ever thought about sharing it? Well, if you have, and you want to talk about that, that is what I'm here for. I would love to help you do that. It's what I do for a living. I love helping authors who have thought about maybe sharing their story and not really taken the steps to do that yet. So let me show you how you can do that and get started. Let me share with you some tips and some connections and some things that I've learned in my experience in helping authors share and publish their work. So if you want to do that, you've got a story that you'd like to tell, let me know. You can contact me here at my website, reneeharden.com/contact. You can also still sign up for my book club. We are reading a fabulous book called The Midnight Library, and it's not too late if you want to jump in and read the book. You still have time. Our next discussion will take place on June 28th, and then I will be sharing our book that we will be reading and enjoying for the month of July. So if you're looking for a book club and you'd like to get involved, let me know. All right. You can contact me here at reneeharden.com/contact. And there's boxes you can check for anything that you're interested in asking me. I would love to hear from you because I want to hear your story. I want to help you share it. Who knows? Maybe someday you might have someone want to write a movie script about your life and share it. Yes, book club is so much fun. We have fun. We start off with music. We check up with each other. And it's really great when you're able to talk with like-minded individuals who love great stories and share that, right? So guys, listen, went a little long today. Was planning only to go 30 minutes, but I love getting to see you all here live. Thanks for joining me. If you're watching via replay, thanks for taking the time to patiently wait as I get all of my screens shared properly. But I hope that you are interested in one of the books that I shared, some of the great stories that are out there. Check out Kevin Hart's movie, and another great movie that you can check, Texas-based, is 12 Mighty Orphans, the story of a little ragtag team of orphans who ended up going to the Texas State high school football championships. It's out nationwide now. I really hope you get a chance to check it out. You can also check out Kevin Hart's Fatherhood and some of the books. I'll be sharing the links to these books in my VIP group. And if you want to join, sign up, contact me and let me know. You'll get added to the book club. You'll also get added to my VIP group where I love to share links on all these things. So, guys, thanks so much for joining me here. It's been a pleasure. Get out there and have a fantastic weekend. Again, it's a trifecta of holiday. all in one weekend. You've got lots to celebrate. I hope you make it a great one. It's the first day of summer officially. So let's kick off the summer season and have a blast. Celebrate your dads or those dad figures in your life. Learn a little bit about the summer solstice and Juneteenth, and always enjoy a great cup of coffee. I hope you'll join me next weekend where we'll share another cup of coffee. We'll wind up the month of June and get ready for July. So, guys, thanks for being here. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you back here next weekend for another episode of From the Editor's Desk.